Welcome back to another web development video where I show you how to make modern websites using HTML5, CSS3, and a little bit of JavaScript. In this video, I'm going to use Mobirise to show you how to create a portfolio website. So this could be if you're a creative, a designer, or a web developer, or you just need some way to show off your own personal side projects or work that you're doing. We're going to have a little sort of intro section telling who you are and what you do, image of yourself, and then also give a little bit of a skill set section, some case studies. This is going to be for a user interface or user experience designer. And then we're going to have a final section that gives the user the ability to contact you in some way. So let's just go ahead and get started. The first thing I want is a nice big clear header section. And a look that I like is having an image off to the right or the left, which is just the image of the person, with a little bit of text on the opposite side. So we're just going to grab this hero here, and this is going to fit our purposes really nicely. I have an image already picked out, and so just go to my downloads here, and this is the image. This fictitious character's name is Angela Ma, and she's going to be she is a UI UX designer, and so we're going to create her portfolio website for her. So we click OK and insert the image in here. It comes in just fine. She's a little bit hidden though by the text, so what we want to do is we want to move her over, if we can move her over to this side, and we can do that by cropping the image. So we click on the image, click on the little edit icon, and this brings up our cropping tool. So the cropping tool is it's really helpful because it allows us to cut out parts of the image that we don't want. So you can see all this stuff over here is just sort of extra, and it's pushing her to the middle of the image. And what we want her to do is we want her to be on the very far right side of the image. So you can think of this as the frame out here, just like out here. So you're cutting out all of this section here, and you're just leaving her. If you want to do different constraints or aspect ratios, 16:9 is like high definition, widescreen TV, think that kind of look. 4:3 is a standard format, that's like an old television set. 1:1 is just a square image, and 2:3 is like a book cover, so it's a little bit taller than wide, or like a piece of paper, a page. And the cool thing about these aspect ratios is whenever you doesn't matter which handle you pull on, it keeps that same aspect ratio. So we're just going to stick with this 4:3, and we want to make sure that we get her into the page, but we essentially just want to cut this stuff out. We don't want that to be a part of things, and we want to give her a little bit of headspace up here. You'll see why in a minute, because once we cut out a part of the image, it's going to sort of blow things up and make it just a little bit bigger. So just know that that's going to happen whenever we cut out part of the image, because it still has to fill the same section, but it has less image to work with, so it's going to sort of blow it up a little bit. So we click OK, and now you can see that we've moved her over to the right, but you can also see that it blew up the image a little bit, because like I'm saying, it still has to fill this entire section, but now you have less image to fill it with, so it's gonna make it bigger, make the image itself bigger. But this is exactly what we're looking for, and we can come in and start filling in her information. Her name is Angela Ma. She is a UI UX designer. I create beautiful and functional designs for startups and social media companies. I've had the privilege to work for companies like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Okay, so this is essentially just your elevator speech. So what would you tell people, my name is this and this is my title, but what do you actually do? You know, what does that mean? So this is going to be essentially placing yourself into a particular space. So you don't work in finance, you don't work in middle America, you don't work for construction companies. Most of the work that you've done is for startups and social media companies. So that's going to help people know, are you a good fit for what we're looking for? You've said something, so does that match up with what I'm seeing here with what I saw somewhere else, wherever I met you, or whatever event we were at, or whatever was going on? Is that a match with what your persona is online? We're going to get rid of this button. We just need one button. And we're going to say view case studies. So she's a designer, and looking at case studies, being a designer is more about what have you done than your background or your education or anything like that. So whatever your primary call to action is, it could be a contact, it could be connect with me on social media, it could be whatever it is. This is the place where you should put your primary call to action. Whatever the one thing you want people to do on the website is, it should be right here, because it's bold and right in front of their face, and it's the first thing they're going to see when they come to the website. We need to go ahead and create sort of brand colors and thinking about the branding of the site and the person. And for Angela, we're going to choose this pink color. And we're also going to make this up here the same pink color. So create some brand consistency, and we'll continue to use that pink color as a call to action sort of color all the way down the page. I'm not a big fan of this white overlay, but we do need maybe a little overlay. So I'm going to choose a black, and you can see that that really makes all these colors pop, the text, and let's go ahead and change those to white. So that makes this all pop out a lot, but we start to lose some integrity of her image. So we've lost some of the color in the image. So let's just pull this down. This is all the way, no opacity. There's an overlay, but it's totally transparent. But if we kick it up to like 10% transparency, you can see that it makes a big difference, especially here in the clouds and in the snow. I'm sorry, this is probably snow too. But the snow in the background, it makes a huge difference. Being able to see, especially this white text. If we do 20%, that's even better, but you start to kind of compromise the color in the photo. And you can see here that it's not so hard to see, but this sort of gets pretty bright. So let's just do 10%. We'll just do 10%, and that will gray out this white color just a little bit and help the pure white text to pop. Okay, and I'll get rid of the arrow. Okay, so this is this is the first thing that people are going to see. It's going to be a picture of Angela. It's her name, what she does, her elevator speech, and then the primary call to action, which is going to be to go down and view the case studies. And this is going to be work that she's produced. So let's go ahead and build out her case studies. I found a good block to use here in the services. She has 2 case studies, so we're just going to pull those in and take a look at them and walk through this. So obviously this block is featuring a product for you to purchase. So when you're using Mobirise, you got to think a little bit outside the box, especially when you're using the default themes, because the things that the way they've set the blocks up are very flexible, but you kind of have to look at just the elements that are involved in the block to see if that's the one that you want. And that's how you would go about deciding, is this the block I want to use? Does this have sort of the base elements that I need? And for me, I want an image. I want a headline with a little text to sort of introduce the project. And then I need a button to be able to click off and go to another page where there's a full case study. This part I don't need, but I know from just sort of playing around with the blocks that I can turn that off and get rid of it and be left with exactly what I want in the end. And then they're going to be side by side, which is also what I'm looking for. So let's turn off that subtitle 2, and then now you can see we're left with a little bit of different feature type block, and we're going to use this for our case studies. So the first one is Facebook. So we're going to call it the Facebook facelift, and I worked with the team at Facebook to what would we say, to redesign the old blue Facebook app to something more light, something lighter and more airy. Yeah, something like that, I don't know. And then you would say case study, and then we're gonna remember we're gonna keep our brand color coming down through our buttons. So we add our pink color here, and I actually do have an image for this. So we have our image here, so you can see the old Facebook and the new Facebook. And one of the things I want to do here is, right now this is 50% of the block and this is 50% of the block, but we have the option in here to change the media size. So if we kick that up to 60% and then 40%, I think that that gives it a nice sort of featured look. So the text draws us in because the button is over there and it has that color, but also the supporting image is a little bit bigger, so you can see more of the project. And so let's go down to our second one, and this is going to be LinkedIn. So LinkedIn refresh. So in 2018, I worked with the amazing design team at LinkedIn to modernize the old LinkedIn brand. And again, we'll get rid of our second subtitle there. Also make this a case study. Keep our brand color consistent, and then I have an image for this one as well. So we have the new LinkedIn login page. So we could keep it like this with our, let's do the 60%. There we go. So we could keep it like this where we're consistently with an image on the left and text on the right. For these sort of feature sections where there's an image and text opposite each other, I like to do kind of a flipped effect. And thankfully, this allows us to do that here. in these blocks, and that's one of the reasons I chose this block too, is because I knew I wanted this to be the style that I wanted, and it easily allows me to put the media onto the left side or the right side of the block. So this gives me that sort of alternating effect like this that I'm looking for, that I really like. It helps to create a little balance to the page. And this overlap here, because it's 60% and not 50%, there's not like a straight hard line down the middle of the page, but it really creates more of a, feels more organic to me in a lot of ways. And so we now have this, you're reading down the page here, you come to this Facebook, you read here, look here, come down, read here, look here, and then down underneath here is going to be another text block where you're going to see the text headline, and then it's going to just allow your eye to easily move down the page. So something you don't think about a lot, but it is something that is actually helpful to lead the viewer down the page. Before we do the final contact section, I want to make sure that we get like a little skills section in there that says, you know, these are the things that I do, and these are either the tools I use to do it, or these are the techniques that I use or that I'm accustomed to doing. Just something that says, here's my skill set, and if you want to use me, these are the things that I know how to do. And so let's go to, there's a card section in here. There's one here with icons, and then there's another card section here without icons, and I just want it to be text. I don't want the images. So I'm just going to plop that in right here. And so this gives us this nice section where we can we can use these cards to create like three skills, I guess is how you would say it. So the first one is going to be user experience. And we'll put UX in there, or user interface, UI design, and the last one will be business strategy. And then in here in this paragraph, you would just sort of unpack that a little bit. So as regards user experience or UX, what do you know how to do? What are you accustomed to doing? Is there a methodology that you use? That would be a really good place to put kind of the jargon or the keywords that if someone was looking for that, they would say, oh, okay, I understand. You're either not going to be a good fit here, or you might be a good fit, or you're a great fit because you're doing exactly what we do. You're doing it for companies that we know that you can do good work for because they expect good work. And then, you know, there's a match up there. And I want to put a little title here because it's just not very clear. You want to be clear about what this section is. This one is made clear because it says case study. So even if you didn't have anything showing here as a title, which we're not, then it says case study. And if you're looking for a UI or UX designer, you don't really need anybody. If you see this and you see a button that says case study, you know what you're getting and what you're getting into. And people could probably figure this out, but this is just another opportunity for you to add a little bit of personality into the website and to be more clear. So when I want a headline, I usually go to article and I grab this headline block. And this is another instance where you can repurpose a block. You could use the block like this if you wanted to, if you needed a little subsection under the headline. I don't need that, so I'm just going to turn that off. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to say what I bring to the table. So a little bit more personality than just this is what I do or my skills. You know, these are, you're always, every chance that you write something on the page is a chance for you to express your personality. Let's go ahead and make this background color white. I think Mobirise does this where every other section that you add, just in order to delineate one section from another, it adds a little light background to it, a little light gray. But we don't need that. And I'm going to turn these cards. We have the ability to change the color on the cards, so I'm going to make those sort of a real light gray color. And so now those are distinguished from each other. And we need to close up this space here, because right now it looks like this is one section and this is one section, but we want to bring them closer together, because when things are in proximity, as a design concept, spacing and proximity can help bring two elements together, so that the person just starts to put it together. Okay, those belong together, and these do belong together, but they're just not in the same block in Mobirise. But we can we can change that by changing the top of this one, which pulls it a little bit closer. They still feel too far away to me, so we're just going to change the bottom of this one maybe to 1. And then now you can see that these two things, they feel like they belong together. They're close enough that they seem like they're a group. And the top of this one, I think that's 6. It should be 5. And the bottom of this one should also be 5. All right. Okay. So that should give us the same amount of space from here to here, although they don't look, maybe it's one more. That looks a little bit better. But you want the padding on the top and bottom to be similar, so that this feels like one cohesive unit. And so that when you see this, you and I know that it's two different Mobirise blocks, but the user doesn't know that, because we've manipulated the spacing for each of the blocks to bring it closer together, to make it feel like it's one particular unit. And that's also a nice little tip and a trick, is sometimes you need to take 2 or 3 blocks, put them together, and make it feel like it's one cohesive unit. And one way we do that is to is to keep the background the same color, and so now it feels like one block. And then we have a separate background here, which delineates this is a new block, right? And speaking of, let's go ahead and change this background color to something a little bit more explicit, a little darker color, so that you have dark color, white, a little darker color, but not so dark that it separates it away from this one, because they're the general layout puts these two things together, but you just want to make sure that there's a little bit of distance. A lot of people might not even notice that they know that they're putting distance between them, but if you made this the same color, if it was all white, that might be okay. That's a real minimalist kind of look. Or if you made these two the same gray color, then that color is going to clearly put these two things together in the same box, right? Because they share a background color, they share a layout, and that really strongly solidifies that these two things go together in the same section. And then sort of separates it off from here. I like the alternating white and gray, so I'm just going to go with that, because I know underneath here I'm going to put another section that's going to have a darker color, a more pronounced color, and so that's going to help set everything. That's going to help set everything off as well. So let's go ahead and add that last section, and it's not going to be a footer. What I want is a context section, and I like this just sort of basic small context section here, and we can work with that and make it what we want. First, I want to make this title 2. All of these smaller titles are title 2, and this one is well, an H1 essentially, and these are all H2s, so it's good to have one H1 on the page, and that's your main thrust of the page, and then all the H2s should be supporting information for that H1. So let's say let's work together, and again, a little bit more personality than just contact me. But what's your personality? Put that on the page. Let people see it sort of all the way through. And we have a few different options here. I'm going to turn one of them off. I'm going to turn off the last one, but I don't want to turn it all the way off like that, because then it's going to look, I want it to be flush left, and for some reason it's going to center everything up. So I'm just going to erase this like this. So should be whenever we publish this or when we view it in the browser, it should be a blank space. This filler text shouldn't actually show up. So what we want to have is a phone and email. And Angela doesn't want to receive phone calls from the website. She wants to receive text messages. So if you want something like that, you just need to be explicit about it. So I screen phone calls, so text me. So then we're going to put her number here. +1 is her area code, her country code. And then in the US we have an area code. And we'll just put the phone number like that. Let's inset her email. Her email is Ange at angelama.com. And I want to make these contact pieces of information clickable, and we want to turn them into links so that when you click them, something happens. It opens up the appropriate program for you to use to be able to contact her very quickly. So let's just copy this, and then we're going to do the link. And email is pretty easy. This is something we've had in HTML for a long time. So then we just put our email address there, and we insert the link, and now you can see it's blue, indicating a link. And then we also can do this for a phone number. So I don't know if you knew this or not, but when you're using a mobile device especially, instead of having to copy the phone number, open it in, or open a new either the phone application or a texting application, and then paste it in there and then do everything, you can just click the phone number and it'll either open the phone application, or it can open a text messaging application or any other application, and then insert that information into the right place so that you can just call, text, do whatever you need to do. Mobirise makes it super easy to do this. So if you double click on it and do the link, it has an option here for phone, and you want to insert the phone number. Let's copy that. Try that again. So with the phone number copied, we can paste it in there. And let's just go ahead and use this example up here as our example. So we'll put the area code there, and then the country code. So now you can choose when someone clicks this link, what will it do? So you can make it open the phone app, the default phone app on your device. You can open WhatsApp and start a chat. You can open Telegram and start a chat. You can do SMS, so it opens up your text messaging application. You can use Viber, or you can start a Skype phone call just by one click, and it opens up Skype. We're going to choose the SMS option because remember, she wants to receive text messages. So instead of forcing the user to figure out what needs to be done or trying to make a phone call instead of sending a text, they can simply click on the phone number and send a text message. And so we insert the link. If you don't want to put your phone number out there like this, you could link this text, so text me, or text me send me a text message, and then you link that text to the phone number and the SMS. Some people don't want to put their phone numbers out there online like that. So now we have all this information here together, and what I want to do is I want to make a really strong statement that this is the end of the page. So if you try to scroll more, that's it. Typically you can do that with a darker color, a band of dark color at the bottom, just as a footer to let people know, okay, I've reached the bottom of the page. I shouldn't expect to scroll more. Nothing's broken. So we're just going to take our brand color here, the pink, and we're going to make that the background color. So this is nice and bold and full of color, just kind of anchoring the bottom of the page. We're going to make these white, just so that they show up better on the background. And we'll even make our links white. Not to worry, because they still have a little bit of a hover effect to them, so it changes colors. And I believe you can change that in your main styles. Maybe it's your primary color. I'm not sure where that rollover color is. I think it's a version of your primary color. I'm not sure. But this looks good. So we have a phone number and email. So there are a couple of different ways to get a hold of Angela when you're ready to work with her, or if you want to call her in for an interview. And then I think that we're good. Oh, let's make sure we link this to our case studies. So we click on the link, and before we were using email and phone, but here we should use the page tab, and then we can scroll down to a block, a particular block on the page, just by doing this. So we'll go to our first services block. We'll insert that link, so when you click here, it should scroll you down to this section here. And I think that we're good. Let's take a look at it in the browser. So now you can see we still get nice color on the photograph, and this is not quite so white, and so it helps this to show up a lot better. Even as you scroll through it, you can still, there's good legibility here on the background. This is a parallax, so the background is actually moving a little bit slower than the foreground, which is a nice sort of by default. It does that in Mobirise. You can turn that on and off, but it gives it a nice sort of professional feel to it. You can see what sorts of things that she does and brings to the table. You can see her case study section here, and if you clicked on these, they would theoretically each go to a separate page that would have each particular case study on it. And then you have down here a way to work together. And you can see that as you go down the page, you come to the middle here, you read across, and then the eye comes back down here. You read down, you read across, and you read back across here. So your eye is sort of doing this zigzaggy motion. They call it an F shape. And it's a typical way that people, at least in the West, who are reading top to bottom, left to right, that's the way that they scan the page. So you're really just playing into a way for them to more easily do what they naturally do. So they're not fighting or having to try to figure out where does my eye go next. You're just leading them down the page. If I click on the email, you can see it tries to open my default email client, which is Outlook on this. And then I can't open the SMS application because I don't have it on my computer, but if I was on a mobile phone, it would open the SMS application, and then you'd be able to just send a text message directly to her. So that makes that one click right into a program makes it super easy. If you were on a phone, the email would open your default mail client and it would put her email address in the to field, and then you could start writing the email. So it's taking away that friction to be able to contact you. Doesn't seem like a lot, but on a phone, all the different steps that you have to take in order to copy something and paste it and do all that, this makes the user experience a lot better, a lot easier. All right, and if we click here, you can see it goes straight to the case studies. So if that's what the main thing you want people to see is the case studies, or the main thing you think they want to see is the case studies, then that's what you would put as your main call to action. Hopefully this gives you a better understanding of how to create a portfolio, what sorts of elements would go into a portfolio, and then especially how we can repurpose just general Mobirise blocks in order to create exactly the type of element that we're looking for. It takes a little playing around, a little turning things on and off to just sort of see, you know, what's possible with each of the blocks and what you can do and what makes each of the blocks unique. But once you sort of figure those things out, I think it will help you to reimagine and to build not just the drag and drop parts and just fill in the information, but actually crafting something that looks bespoke. It looks a little bit different than what you normally see, or what might just be possible right out of the box with Mobirise. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions, please leave those in the comment section below the video, and I'll get to those as quickly as I can. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, click subscribe and then click the bell, and you'll receive notifications when I post new videos. Usually 1 or 2 a week is the schedule I try to keep. I'm going to be in Mobirise a little bit more in the coming months. I think I can see a need, and sort of the no-code revolution is well underway, and this is a really good option, especially if you kind of know what you're doing already in design, and even for someone with no experience in web development, it's a really good option. If you want to know how to use Mobirise, I have 2 playlists. One for sort of the basics, taking you through what each thing does and how to publish websites and stuff like that. And then the second one is a little bit more advanced. So if you know some HTML and CSS and you have the code editor for Mobirise, then you can make those changes or manipulate them, the blocks, as you see fit. And so check those out. And if you want to pay it forward, these videos are free and giving them to you for free, and my time is free. But if you want to pay it forward, just click the thumbs up button. That helps the algorithm know that this is a worthwhile video and it's quality and people are finding some value in it. So it's a simple thing for you to do, but it's a big help to me. And so just click that thumbs up when you're watching a video. All right, I think that's it for this one, and thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.